This podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to GameHounds, GameHounds episode 239. We are recording on Wednesday, November 13th, 2013. I'm Edie Sellers. With me to my right is Nick DiNicola. Hey.
Hey.
And to my left, back and to the left, would be Holy Goalie. Goalie? Goalie? Hello? Goalie, are you there? Did we lose him?
No. Did we?
I don't...
Was he just messing with us?
No, he might be. I think he's gone. Great. Fantastic.
It's my volume level again.
Oh, did it drop down?
It did, yes. This new update to Skype does amazing things, including if I try to regulate the volume, it shuts off my mic.
You know, Skype worked really well until Microsoft bought it. You notice that?
Oh, man. So now I got to go in, manage my audio devices, and turn your
volume up. Yeah, you're running light, which is unusual for you.
Levels.
Hello.
There we go. Yay!
There we go.
You're back.
Yes, I go in my control panel and I go in and it's down to 0. So I'm in Skype. Okay, in Skype when I go to my levels, because usually you're always yelling at me that I'm hot. So it's always pegged at 100. So I slide it down to about 60%, and usually that was the sweet spot. With the new update, when I do that, it shuts the mic off. Because we were talking before the show. And I said, oh, I'm at 100. Let me turn it down to 60. And then you guys, where is he? I'm like, oh. And then I'm panicking. Like, I know what it is. So I go into my control panel, hit media settings, preferred settings, save options, and all these little crazy things.
Hey, Nick, just out of curiosity, because you are always the soft-spoken one on the show. What's your level at right now? Because are you at 100?
I don't
know.
Where would you go to find that?
See, he's got the looks, we've got the brains. So where would you find that? Under your settings. Why don't you play with that?
Under the computer settings or Skype settings?
Both. But try Skype setting first. Skype, like, audio, I think it is under. Remember, you have a Mac, I have a PC. Or you have a PC, I have a Mac. It's very different.
I think it's audio options.
Audio options? Okay.
Yeah, tools.
Tools.
Options, yeah,
okay.
that's exactly. That's a
Audio
place
settings.
for you.
Tools.
Microphone or speakers?
Microphone.
Well, yeah, it would be microphone. I don't know. It just says automatically adjust.
No, uncheck that.
Okay.
Now,
it's a spur of the moment.
All right, I know. Live audio adjustments. Now, can you turn it up?
Okay, I'm putting it up to about 80.
Keep going.
Nice.
Does that make a difference?
Yes.
90?
Yes.
Does that make a difference?
Yes.
100? Does that make a
Give
difference?
it all she's got, Captain.
I can't go any further.
I'm giving her all she's got. You sound fabulous, Nick. How are you guys?
Cold. It is so cold. It's in the 20s.
Oh, my God. You don't want to know what it is out here.
Something must have happened this year. Either all these leap year things caught up with us or something, but we are running 30 days ahead of schedule on weather this year, meaning that back in July, we had 105-degree days, which is August weather.
Mm-hmm.
And now in November, which is what November 13th is today, it's in the 20s. Okay, maybe just cracking the 30s in the sun. And that's usually late December, January weather. So we seem to be running 30 days ahead of schedule on weather. So I'm hoping that I'll be swimming in pools by February.
Meanwhile, back on the other coast, we've had the longest warm, dry spell for winter in something like 75 years. It has been between 65 and 75 degrees every day and all year except the one day on the first day of fall that it rained. And then after that, we have had zero rain, literally zero precipitation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know. I keep
That's not a
waiting
good thing.
for something.
Much as
Yeah.
I hate rain and snow, it's nice to know that the water supply is getting filled up.
Yeah, we're in serious trouble. We may all blow away. And this may turn into like Burning Man out here. San Francisco will officially not only be the home of Burning Man, it will look like the home of Burning Man in a very short period of time.
Everyone's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's not go all that way.
We've already got a desert.
Here.
Let's just go out in the backyard.
Go to the backyard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway, you guys getting all excited for the PS? You guys get PS4?
Oh my God. Yes. You know,
it's finally hitting me. It's finally hitting me.
Yeah, I'm really getting
I don't
excited.
think it's quite hit me yet, although it definitely helps to talk about it.
Yeah.
It does.
Because on my own, it's like, oh, I'm just so concerned with other stuff that, and it's like, what? There's a console? Really? No, you're lying to me.
Then you realize
part
it's
of
in
me
2 days.
Part of me expects Friday to come, and Sony's just going to be like, hey, April Fools.
November
sorry,
Fools.
We pushed it back. You can pick it up when you pick up Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really been that excited, like you said, until I get to talking with people about it, and then I realized, holy shit, I'm going to have a brand new console. All of the speculation over.
I've forgotten what it was like to have a console launch. And, like, the thing is, I've never actually gotten a console on launch day. So this is all kind of fun and new.
I haven't gotten
know
it.
how to handle it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it on launch day. I've gotten it like the first Christmas, like the PS2. When you couldn't find the PS2, we got one. But the Xbox 360, I got after E3, so it was out for 4 or 5 months before I got it. So this is my first console launch too.
Mine is too. I'm pretty excited about it, and I'm more excited because I didn't have PS3, and I think I mentioned that. I don't even think I had PS2. So I could be really surprised and happy, or I could be really disappointed.
It's going to be a little awkward as long as you're prepared for a certain level of awkwardness. But you'll be fine.
Yeah, but I also have the Vita, so I've kind of dipped my toe into the PlayStation Network waters per se. So that's what I really bought that for. Just kind of dip in and see what's going on.
And also recognize there's going to be a lot of stuff that's not quite ready for prime time. I was reading the review, just I didn't get all the way through it, but the review on Joystick of the PlayStation 4, and they said that many of their most touted features, their networking and their sharing features, the updates were literally hot off the presses. Well, actually, not literally, because I hate people when they use that word literally and they don't really mean it. But the updates were hot off the presses. They had just come out that morning when they booted them up. So everything is still very much in the, hey, this is brand new. Some of it's going to be kind of weird and clunky and not quite ready. Hawk said, was it M Hawk? Yeah, it was Piss Boy, who said that he loaded up the iPhone app or the Android app.
Yeah, I did too.
For PlayStation 4, and he's like, it's not quite ready for prime time. It's still a work in progress.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I'm certainly not gonna belabor that. 6 months in, maybe I might give him a hard time. A year in, definitely. But if you're talking about like when it first launches, I'm expecting things to be a little weird.
Oh yeah. I'm not expecting everything to go perfectly smooth. But as I mentioned, I did the happy endings last week. Carried the team last week.
I know. I haven't even listened to it, which is kind of exciting because I remember when I was at Burning Man and I would listen to our show and realize that I had not heard what was on our show already. It was kind of exciting. So I'm looking forward to it.
I did that with the Ratcast a couple times. Someone else filled in. It was kind of neat listening.
Yeah.
No, I actually took it as a challenge. I wanted to see if I could go a whole hour by myself and keep the show going. And for the most part, people seem to like it. So I think I pulled it up. But anyway, so I was just talking about my excitement, and we had the chat room involvement last week about the console, and I'm giving them an Xbox One. To be fair, I don't have an Xbox One, but if word comes out that Xbox One's having issues, I'm not going to jump all over them and pile on and say ha ha ha. I'm going to give both time to sort it out. You have to. Yeah. You have. There's, especially with the Sony PlayStation 4, whereas I think they made the most changes. Because I heard that their online was pretty terrible. Now, Xbox One, all they have to do is just do what they're doing with Xbox 360 and they'll be fine. Whereas the PlayStation has some ground to catch up. And from what I hear, they've either done it or they're trying to do it. So I don't expect it to go smoothly for either one. If they do, hey, fantastic. But as I mentioned, I just want to be able to put in a disc and play a game. I'd like to be able to check out my friends list, maybe do a couple of test party chats, and I'd like to download Warframe and play that this weekend at some point. So if I can do that, I'd be a happy boy. If all of a sudden it's like the downloading gets stuck or it won't download the update or things crash, then I'll be pretty bummed out about it. But if I could just do some basic things to get over the hump of the weekend and try this thing out, I'll be pretty happy. And then I jumped in on that deal just like you did. I get the same 3 games.
Yeah, that was kind of huge for obviously this was a PlayStation or at least a Sony prompted promotion, was the 3 for 2 games, because multiple retailers had it, and I got mine on Amazon. And I have not seen, although we have to wait until next week to see if Microsoft is going to do the same thing. But it was huge because now I'm not only set up with my console, I have 3 great retail games that are also on the way to me. That actually really instilled the excitement when I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I'm in front of the computer, that I can load in all of the games and buy them with this code. And I only have a few hours to do it. But you want to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning, even though you've got until 1 o'clock in the afternoon to do it. It just was. It added to the excitement to be able to get an amazing deal on these games.
Yeah. So you know what's actually happened with me is I ordered the Killzone. Okay, so I ordered that last week. I want to say just because I wanted to make sure I had something to play. So I just went on and pre-order through Amazon, whatever. So I got the pre-order through Amazon. And then they come out with that Target had it first, buy 2, get 1 free. And so Killzone's on there. I'm like, oh, geez, I already bought it on Amazon. And then Amazon comes out with it. I'm like, oh, maybe I should cancel the pre-order for Killzone and then redo it? Or do I got to buy, 2 new games and get a 3rd free? And I didn't see a 4th game that I really wanted to spend $60 on.
Really? I thought there were 4 games on there easily that I wanted to spend $60 on.
No, there was.
And Nick had the same problem with Battlefield, Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yeah, I ended up not jumping on the deal because it's like I wasn't sure if I would cancel the Assassin's Creed because it was already shipping, so I didn't know if I'd receive it and have to send it back and get charged twice for it.
Yeah, what they did with me is they sent me an email, and I don't know if you got this email. It said, "Hey, we're having this special." And because you ordered Killzone, it's part of the deal, so you only need to order 1 more game and you'll get a free one.
Oh.
And they gave me a code to punch in.
Oh, wish I'd known that.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys got the email or not, but I went in and I put it. So Killzone is already shipped. Okay, so I got this email, and I didn't even have to wait till Tuesday. I did this on Monday because Tuesday was when they had the 2 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
So on Monday I went in. And I said, well, I definitely want Assassin's Creed 3. And so for my free game, I handed it on between Call of Duty Ghosts and Battlefield 4. I said, let me get Battlefield 4. So I put in, the AC4 and Battlefield 4, put in the code, bam, $59.99.
Wow. Score.
And, yep. So I didn't have to wait till Tuesday either for the deal. They actually honored it on Monday. So I have Killzone's arrived. But they included it in the 2 for 1 package, so I just ordered 1 more game and got a free one. So I got the deal in a roundabout way, and
nice.
That's why Amazon is really like that, because you didn't have to go and cancel or return everything.
Right.
They
Nick didn't get that email, so that's kind of weird that Nick didn't get it and I did. And there was something else that was weird about that deal, is that when I looked at I didn't order anything, so I bought 3 games organically, just off the shelf. And when I looked at them before I put them in my cart, it said, you should receive this, because I'm Amazon Prime, you should receive this on the 13th, or what's today? Is today the 13th?
Yes.
Yeah, so it said you should receive this on the 14th.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Right. But when I added the code and paid for it, and it said, oh, you're going to receive this on the 15th now. It's like, but just a second ago, I was going to receive it on the 14th. Does that mean I'm not going to have it for the launch? It was kind of annoying that it seemed like the shipping situation, actually, I take it back. It was supposed to be receiving today. If I ordered it within an hour, which I did, it was supposed to be received today, because they counted yesterday as the first day of my 2-day shipping because it was so early in the morning. And yeah, it was like a 2-day difference. And the shipping conditions changed when I added that greatness code. So I don't know if it was because they just got slammed, or, between the moment of when it brought it up and when I actually purchased it, or what. They couldn't have gotten that slammed because I'm a Prime member. All my card information is in there. Once I put it in, it's bam, it's done. It's almost instantaneous. So, whatever reason, it seemed like those things changed on me, which didn't seem very fair. But, oh well.
But you'll get them for Friday, though.
Yeah, but no, I'm getting the console Friday morning in theory. Thursday night at midnight in theory.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know when Best Buy is shipping out. I'm trying to do a search online.
So yours shipped, and I had mine pick up. So I'm going to go pick up.
I just didn't want to wait in a line. And then I can't on Thursday anyway because I have to work at, I have to be up at 4:45. So,
yeah.
And I could fight Friday. But I just figured let it come to me. Hopefully at some point it will arrive on Friday. If not, I'm hoping there'll be a Saturday delivery for it. I'm hoping I don't have to wait till Monday.
Right.
I don't think they would do that because I think, just as my gut feeling, that if Best Buy were to screw that up and people didn't get their PlayStation 4s till Monday that were shipped from Best Buy, that people would probably never do that again with Best Buy.
Right.
They would really shoot themselves in the foot if everybody else arrived on Friday.
But then again, I have to say that the only thing that I've ever purchased as launch stuff has been games. And when I purchase it on Amazon, even though it's a launch title, I get it 2 days later after launch. Which
really?
Right. Now, the thing is that the Amazon, when you bought it, you either had a standard edition or a launch edition. So theoretically, if you bought that launch edition, you're going to get it launch.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if I'll get mine from Amazon on Friday because I have the PS4 launch edition. Like, I pre-ordered it way, way long ago, and it still says not yet shipped. But the delivery estimate says Friday, November 15th.
All right. Well, then I would believe it.
Now, where'd you order yours from, Nick?
Amazon.
Okay. Yeah. Amazon. I heard Amazon shipping on Wednesday, which is today. That's
okay.
I just saw online that Amazon is shipping on Wednesday to make sure you have it for Friday. The only thing that would concern me is if by chance it arrived on Thursday, I probably wouldn't plug it in till Friday just to be safe.
Right.
Because you heard some of the stories about people getting consoles early and they're setting them up and then they're getting locked out because they're signing up.
Well, that was kind of I guess we could probably talk about it now because it was kind of a news item that Target screwed up and sent some guy who had purchased a launch Xbox One through them. I guess Target got its first batch and sent him out to his, without even thinking about it, like, oh, I wonder if it launched yet. They just put it in a box and sent it to him, and he received his Xbox One. And he plugged it in, and because he doesn't, obviously not under the conditions of a non-disclosure agreement, he posted all over the internet what it looked like, what it sounded like, blah, 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 it was in the period of embargo. But the thing is that he received the Xbox One, no fault of his own, nothing nefarious. What happened was Target shipped it early. And that guy got in so much trouble. And I think not necessarily fairly. That Xbox Microsoft should have treated him a lot better. But ultimately, what they did is they banned his account so he can't get on on Xbox One or on his 360 account.
But then he talked to Major Nelson, and apparently, he's just banned until it comes out.
Right.
And he's
good.
They invited him to the launch event.
Oh, good.
Has a makeup.
Yeah. In fact, it was there was a thread on Facebook for Chris Palladino, who used to be on their media team with Larry Herb and with Trixie and all the rest of the guys, and there was this discussion of like, hey, old Microsoft, Xbox 360 Microsoft would never have let this happen to somebody.
Yeah.
But Microsoft, without Xbox 360, without their media team, without their community management team, this is what they do, is they just see users that break the rules as the enemy and attack them. And thank God Larry Herb, thank God Major Nelson stepped in and said something and like made it right for this guy, because he was not doing anything wrong. And he didn't break any rules to get it. He was not under an NDA. They shipped it to him. Target shipped it to him. If they should be mad at anyone and banning anyone, it should be banning Target from the launch, because Target was the one that screwed up.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear that all got sorted out, because there were enough people on the internet who were really objected to the way that he was treated, at least initially, by Microsoft.
It probably was one of these things, remember Steptoe back in the day would say that, certain things pop up. It might have just been an automatic thing to come up and say, oh, we have an Xbox that is not on our list of whatever,
right,
our safe list. So this guy, maybe he took one out of GameStop. They don't know. All they know is that somebody pinged the Xbox One servers. That's not
No. They found out because he plastered it all over YouTube. He did it in unboxing video on YouTube. He did YouTube stuff. He did Twitter stuff. He did Facebook stuff. He was all over the internet, and of course getting hit. but then again, why wouldn't he? And the thing is, reportedly what he was saying was not negative. It was all excitement.
Yeah.
It was like Nintendo Kid with his Xbox One. And because they found out that he was, because of course once the information hits YouTube, that does alert Microsoft because there's an embargo, and then they go looking like, oh, okay, who's this guy that broke the embargo? Oh my God, he's not on the list. How did you get it? And of course he says straight out in his videos, Target sent it to me. Target just sent it early. So yeah, that they knew the situation that they were going into before they started bringing the hammer down.
You're just doing a quick search online for Best Buy ship dates, which would apply to myself. It says expect from Target, Best Buy, and Amazon delivery sometime in the afternoon or evening on Friday. But there was actually one comment posted to this. It says this one guy, Brad or whatever his name was, said that he's been told he's not going to get his shipment from Best Buy till the 21st.
Ooh. Ouch.
Or later, yeah. So, but that wouldn't make any sense, because if they have them at the store, they have them. It's not like, why would it take a whole other week to get it out unless he's, really in a bizarre shipping area?
Maybe. It could be.
Maybe he pre-ordered it late.
Yep.
And they're just giving out in the order that it was received.
Yep. Possibly. Mm-hmm. Hey, by the way, now that we've talked all about PlayStation 4 and how we're all little kids about this and kind of excited, did we play anything this week?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I did too.
All right. Why don't you start, Edie? You haven't played anything in a long time. Why don't you start?
Okay, well, Nick, what did you say? In fact,
I was going to say, speaking of PlayStation, I played a PlayStation exclusive game.
Should we start with Nick or start with me? Goalie, you decide. You make the call.
All right, Nick, since you bringing the energy today, bring it home. Bring home the bacon. Bring home the
Okay. Let's do this. I played Beyond Two Souls.
Nice.
And it's good, but nowhere near as good as I was hoping it would be, and nowhere near as good as Heavy Rain was. Like,
Fuck you.
it's better. What?
Fuck
Wow.
you. Heavy Rain was ass.
No way.
Heavy
I love
Rain.
Heavy Rain.
If you're saying it wasn't as good as Heavy Rain, that automatically makes me
So, okay,
just like, I can't imagine it being worse than Heavy Rain.
I'm curious. Like, what did you not like about Heavy Rain?
I can't remember. I just remember I fucking hated that game. I have blanked it out like it was a like it was a rape. Seriously, I felt like my brain was raped on that game. It's horrible.
Was it the controls? Was it the story?
I was
it the
violated.
acting?
It was all of it. I think it was, as I recall, I think the controls bothered me quite a bit. I think that there tried to be a story there, but it was badly performed. And then in those rare moments when you actually got engaged in the story, then they would throw in these puzzles that you had to figure out, which would break up the story. I just didn't feel compelled or a sense of urgency to save, what was his name? Jason. Was that his name?
Yeah, well, that was the.
That
was one of the kids.
One of the
That
kids.
was one of the kids.
Jason. That's.
I don't know why I'm avoiding spoilers. It's years old.
I know. Why are you awarding that?
One of the kids gets hit by a car and dies in the beginning.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's Jason.
That's when he's running around the mall calling out for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason.
I think that running around the mall calling for your kid is pretty much the like exemplifies what I hated about that game.
Really? Because I thought that was an interesting part.
I know you do.
I don't.
Now, if
get
you
that.
say
I don't
not
get-
nearly as good as,
Yes, so it has.
I'm really
better
disappointed.
acting. It has better acting, and the graphics are better. But I think all the things that made Heavy Rain. So, did you stop playing at that point?
No, I
Edie?
played the whole thing through. Played it all the way to the end.
Okay. So the things that made Heavy Rain really interesting, I think, is the fact that your characters could die. So for me, every action scene was really, really exciting because it felt like I was actually fighting for my life. Like, it felt like I had something to lose, because this character could die and the story could end, and I wanted to see how the story would continue. And I actually felt compelled. Like, I felt like as the story went along more and more, it just kind of built up on itself and got more and more interesting. And I felt like it increased in tension and all that, Has a good story should. Beyond is told in a non-linear fashion. So you know how Heavy Rain was broken up into scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you just jumbled those scenes up, threw them in a blender, then tossed them out, put them in an order, and played the game that way.
I don't know. That would either work really well or not work really well.
It is horseshit.
Okay.
It is.
That's a risk.
It's shit of horse shit.
That bad,
Like,
huh?
What was it? South Park or something that had a word for like if a skunk shit and the shit of that skunk shit something, then that was a certain word, and I forget what it was.
If a skunk shit and the
and the skunk shit something.
Skunks.
Well, you look that up.
Shit something.
So the reason that the non-linear doesn't work is that the individual scenes work really well. Like, they're actually well done. It's interesting. But, like, as you start the scene and as you play through it and you kind of get invested in what's going on, the scene ends and you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. I want to see what happens next. Jump 10 years into the future. And it's like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to kind of start a new story now. This is still Jodie, and she's still connected to this entity, but it's a completely different part of her life. It's essentially starting a whole new story. So, okay, I'll go with this. And, oh, this scene is really interesting. Okay, she's, breaking into an embassy. She's working for the CIA, using her magic ghost buddy to steal state secrets. This is kind of cool. Bam, that scene ends. Jump 12 years into the past. And, oh, my God, okay, this is like a completely different story now we're starting. And it keeps doing that. So every time you start to get interested in the story, jumps over to a part that has nothing to do with what came before.
Oh, I hate that.
It just keeps murdering like the flow and the pace. And
there's
even,
only
like,
one person that can do that well, and his name is Quentin Tarantino. Everybody else needs to stop trying because it doesn't work.
It doesn't work at all. It's just so bad. And what's even worse about it is that there are some issues I have with the story, even if it was told chronologically. Like her adolescence, there are a couple scenes of her in her teenage years that major things can happen to her in those scenes. And then when you go to the next scene chronologically, they don't reference anything at all. It's like, oh, here's this moment where Jodie was like kind of a badass hero. Scene after that chronologically, no one mentions it. Nothing at all. Like, there's one scene called The Conductor that I think you could actually take out of the game and you wouldn't really know it was missing.
Oh, wow.
Like, the characters don't mention it. No one seems impacted by it. And, okay, there was like 3 scenes of her in her adolescence that are like this, where they just feel so disjointed and separate from everything else. But it's just 3 scenes out of like 20 in the whole game. If it had been told chronologically, it would have just been these 3 kind of random scenes of her. It would have like taken its time looking at her as a child and sort of how she first came into this institution where they experiment with her and her entity. Then it would have just rushed through her teenage years, and then it would have settled in a nice long story of her adulthood with the CIA. And okay, that kind of makes sense. But by breaking it up non-linearly, those teenage years that feel so disjointed and bad and like separate from everything else are spread out across the entire game. So it feels even more disjointed than it would be otherwise. And so it takes this one bad thing that would have been, just a little okay flaw told chronologically, and just highlights it.
Magnifies it across the entire game.
Yes.
Ugh. Sucks.
But the reason I ended up liking it, even though it seemed to...
Really? Did you just take me all the way down that road about how much it sucks?
Even though it seems determined to make me hate it, is because the last several hours don't do that. Like, the last several hours are kind of this build up, this kind of climax, and then this build up again to the main climax. And it's several hours long. It's like a quarter of the game, and it's all told linearly. Well, except for one divergence into the past, which is really short and actually works okay because it sets up something to come. So, like, the game ends just telling its story straight through, and it works. It's like, you know what? This is actually good. It builds it builds into a climax like a story should, rather than jumping around like some schizophrenic psychopath. So that's why when it ended, I'm like, okay, I have positive feelings about this because it ended real good. But then when I think back at the beginning, it's just like, oh, that non-linearity is so god awful.
So is it now? I'm confused. You do. I hate putting things on a grade. What grade would you give this?
Out of 10?
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Okay. So it's a mild buy.
Yes, like it's
if you've got nothing better to do,
I would give it a 6.
If there was
it's
right
above average.
As long as there isn't a ton of games and a console coming out, then it's a good buy.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, even when the non-linearity is awful, but one of the reasons it's so awful is because each of those individual scenes is so interesting. Mm-hmm. So it's like you play it, you enjoy it, you get invested, and then just pulls a rug out from under you over and over again. So it's like, good game that constantly makes you not want to play it. So,
all right.
So even it's Grand Theft Auto 5.
Actually, it's kind of interesting. It kind of has the same pacing problems.
Yeah. I could see that.
But I do still really love the philosophy behind Quantic Dreams games, like the whole interactive story, how you play that, how you can make choices and branch the story without realizing it. I still think that's really, really cool. It's implemented in some interesting ways here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for a game that's so heavily story-driven, that non-linearity just fucks it up.
Well, fortunately, I made you play at least the beginning of a game last night because I just downloaded it, bought it, and downloaded it because it was, I needed something, and I'm tired of playing Grand Theft Auto, and I've been playing Left 4 Dead 2 because I actually have never played through it. Never even really played much of it. I think I started to play it and said, fuck this, and walked away. But I still have it.
It just wasn't one.
Yeah, it wasn't one. I think it throws too much at you, but I also hadn't played it. So Hawk had it, never even plugged it in, never even put it in the thing. So he'd never even touched anything about it. So Chaos was kind of dragging us, making us play Left 4 Dead 2. So we've been playing through it pretty consistently every night for a couple of hours a night. But I don't want to play that when they're not there because I'm not really enjoying the game. So I said, let's go look and see what's out in the arcade games. And I saw The Wolf Among Us. And I saw, it's a Telltale game based on a comic book. Yeah, how bad could it be? $5, sure, throw it in. So I bought it. And of course, my cat now is going off. So I bought it. And it's like I was on Xbox Live with Nick and Pissboy at the time, and I pretty much lost my shit after the first 10 minutes.
You did?
Oh my God. I have not played a game that has as good an opening as that game in a very, very long time. It definitely, you could see the comic book reference in the art. It is based on a comic book that's set in New York, but a kind of a mythical part of New York called Fabletown, where all fables kind of have left their respective worlds and are all living in our world now. And they live in New York, in a particular part of New York called Fabletown. But they're living kind of this parallel society where inside our regular society, but they don't want to be seen. They don't want Mundies, which they called people like us. Essentially, what do they call that in Harry Potter? Muggles? Yeah.
Yep.
Mundies are essentially Muggles. They're non-fable people. So they have to hide themselves from the Mundies. Mundies stands for mundanes. They have to hide from us. So you have Beauty and the Beast and Mr. Toad from, what was it, Wind in the Willows. And
sounds like that TV show that's out. Was it Once or something like that?
Yeah, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. But these are also not human characters. So they all have to have, if you are a non-human character, like Mr. Toad from Wind in the Willows, you have to have a glamour, and you have to buy a glamour from a witch. But glamours are very expensive, and they're living in New York. And not all of these characters have the money to be able to buy a glamour to be able to live in society. So if you cannot afford a glamour, then you have to go to the farm, which is out somewhere in New York. That is a farm where all of the goblins and the animal creatures that are, human animal creatures all have to be living out there. If you can't hide yourself among people convincingly, you got to go live on the farm. And they don't want to live on the farm because it's, for all intents and purposes, a prison. And you are playing Bigby Wolf, who is essentially the big bad wolf of multiple fables. And he is the sheriff of Fabletown, which is where they all live, which is a part of South Bronx, I believe. And he, King Cole is the mayor, and the vice mayor is Ichabod Crane, and the secretary to the council, I guess, was mayor's secretary, is Snow White. and there is a murder in Fabletown, and Bigby Wolf, who had a speckled past to say the least, is trying to be a good guy now, but he's still got a pretty bad past, and let's face it, he's still the big bad wolf. So he's played, it's very like a rich, saturated, a color-saturated noir film. It's noir in its feel and its style, very like almost Gumshoe, where you've got this this lead character who's not a good guy, but he's trying. And it's not a game for children. It sounds like Little Kitty. It is not Little Kitty. It reminds me very much of L.A. Noire in that feel. But it's hyper stylized because it looks like a comic book. And the characters are so well done. Like the first character you meet after Bigby is Mr. Toad. So good. Like within the first 30 seconds of talking to Toad, you know, you have a feel of who he is. You've got a sense of his depth and his background, his story, without him actually having to explain it. It just comes through the voice acting and the design of him, and also the story itself, the whole genre. It's a very sumptuous game. It draws you in and it makes you want to focus on that game entirely, the way that a really, really good noir detective film is. It's almost suffocating in the way that it makes you focus in on it and kind of drags you into this kind of grubby world of backstreet dealings and ulterior motives. It's so good. And it is a point and click because it is Telltale. And the point and click on the Xbox 360 works great. Just fantastic. Your opening scene has, and I believe and in fact I know it's also the demo, has a fight in it. And so you get a bit of the fight mechanic, you get a bit of the discovery mechanic, you get a bit of the characters, and it just grabs you by the goddamn testicles and drags you in to this game immediately. Just such a good job on this game. And it in many ways, you know, this is the same developer as that did Walking Dead. One of the things I hated about The Walking Dead is the first episode was such a kind of dud. Like, people had to tell you, keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. By episode 2, it'll get you into it. And they were right. But this game, it doesn't warm up to anything. It doesn't put any dominoes into place. It doesn't dress any windows. It brings you in full frontal and compels you to keep playing. Telltale's learned a lot. Anyway, Nick, and I made Nick play it. I made Nick stop playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It's a review copy of Call of Duty. And I made him go play the first 10 minutes. Because all I could hear, he was playing it on Steam. All I could hear was like, Piss Boy and I were talking, and all of a sudden we'd hear in the background, "Oh, shit!"
I wondered if you could hear that.
Wow! We could hear it. We were just laughing. And as soon as you did that, that made Piss Boy go get it.
The fight scene like escalates in ways that I wasn't quite expecting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good. Like, it definitely has that mood that sucks you in, and it's just very well presented. And I feel like if you like this, you should really play 400 Days, the DLC for Walking Dead, because that has like 5 real short stories of just these random characters in the Walking Dead world. And there are moments in that are just all about the conversation. And I think my favorite of that, maybe not, whatever, like you're on a prison bus and you're just talking to the prisoners next to you. And the conversation they have, where it's like they talk about their crimes and things that they did, is so natural and so well done and so compelling in its own right. It's almost disappointing when the zombies show up, because you're like, oh, I want to talk more with these people. I want to spend more time with them. So I think between that and what I've played of Wolf Among Us, it definitely shows Telltale getting better at what they do.
Yeah, it's. In fact, we were just remarking on it when we were watching it about how, or when we right after we'd played it, about how much Telltale really learns. And it says a lot that for Telltale that because it kind of does things on a small scale, it gets the luxury of being able to make mistakes. So that when it does something, there's no such thing as a mistake as long as you learn from that mistake and improve on it. If you actually end up getting something out of your error. And they have the luxury of being able to make mistakes and learn from them and keep going, as opposed to a lot of, especially the AAA titles, that because it costs so much to make a game, when you fuck up, it's a fuck up. There's no redemption for you or that whole genre. I mean, if someone had taken as much money as they spend on a AAA title and put it on a point-and-click adventure and had come out with a point-and-click adventure that was as interesting but not fantastic as a Sam & Max game, I probably never would have had point-and-click adventures, but you had to go through the Sam & Max, and you had to go through the Jurassic Park, and you had to go through the, what was the other one? Wallace and Gromit games, in order to get to Walking Dead. And you had to go through the mistakes that you made in Walking Dead to get to 400 Days, and you had to get the stuff in 400 Days to get to this game. It's like each subsequent game right now is more of a pinnacle of their learning to do it really well. So everyone is subsequently better than the last. And maybe they might take a risk and fall a little bit, but they don't give up on it. They just tweak it until it's right, which is awesome. It's nice to see it evolving.
Slightly related, that's one of the reasons I really like Quantic Dreams and David Cage's games, is because they are big budget point-and-click adventure games, essentially. And what's kind of hilarious is that I was reading that Beyond cost like $27 million to make.
Oh, God.
Which is insanely cheap for a big budget game.
That's true.
Know?
But still,
that normally is like $100 million. It's like, what? So, kind of, I'm glad that whatever David Cage does, even if he doesn't do it well, he's doing something interesting and probably will at least make this one break even so that Sony keeps funding him to do other weird stuff. And hopefully, he will learn. Even if Quantic Dreams hasn't, from Heavy Rain to Beyond.
Right.
Well, actually, no. The writing is better in some instances. And there are no demon children. So that's good. Good.
So, Goalie, what are you playing?
I actually am slowing down with the Diablo thing a little bit.
Good for you.
Yeah, I know. We played the other night. That was fun. You jumped in a little bit there at the end. I actually just on a whim went out and picked up Call of Duty Ghosts.
Uh-huh.
And I know it's getting close to PS4 time, but I'm like, I've always been a Call of Duty guy and I wanted to check it out and the whole bit. So I picked it up and I played through the single player campaign. I don't do any of the team deathmatch or anything like that. So I'm just single player or they have this new thing called squads, which is actually a lot of co-op stuff. You work together doing things against a computer, which is perfect for people like me who don't want to go and, play in those teenage rooms or whatever. So anyway, finished the single-player campaign, and I picked it up on Monday, finished it on Tuesday. It's not a very long campaign.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that is short.
Yeah, I want to say 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm thinking...
I beat Modern Warfare 2 in a day.
It's possible.
Back when.
I picked it up. I think I actually sat down Monday. Yeah, let me see. When I finished work up, it was about 3. I want to say I played till 8 or 9. So I probably got 5 hours in on Monday, and then yesterday maybe 3. So I got about 8 hours into it. I had it on normal. Pretty much plowed right through it. A couple of parts I had to play over and over because it's one of those things where should have went left. It's like you're running around, you're getting hit by debris, and it's like that old video game there in the cartoon one where like you're in the car. It's like drive left, and you die. Okay, I got to go right. So it's just trial and error on a few things like that. All in all, I really enjoyed Call of Duty Ghosts. I know it got beat up in ratings and beat up with reviews. I rather liked it. It felt more like Modern Warfare than it did Call of Duty.
Interesting.
Yeah, even kind of Battlefield-ish. The way you went from, fighting on the ground to, a couple times you were in the air, then you were driving some tanks, and a couple times you pinged back and forth. The story actually wasn't too bad. It was about, you're part of the Call of Duty Ghosts unit, and one of your guys got left behind or something, and now he was being used to eradicate ghosts or something like that. I don't know. It was yeah. So I mean, the ghosts are trying to save the world. It was very. I'm trying to think. Was it the Call of Duty Black Ops 2? They had the one where basically the United States got destroyed, and all the other countries got destroyed, and everybody was fighting over rubble, and it was very dark and depressing.
I think that was Modern Warfare.
Is that Modern Warfare?
Yeah.
There was one that I remember that I was in Washington, D.C., and there was no power and no nothing because the EMP went off and bombs went off, and it was like...
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there playing these missions, and I think I said it on the show. I was like, I just felt like putting down my gun and walking away.
Really?
It's like, what are we fighting for at this point? And that's how this game was. The story picks up, a few years in the future, and something happened, and without giving it all away, there's some federation out of South America that's taken over the world. Okay? And the United States is in ruins again, and the whole bit, and, San Diego's destroyed, and that's kind of where this kind of takes place. And it's just, so you're just fighting through rubbles of cities. Yeah. And I felt like, why am I taking up this fight? Okay, we're trying to, push the invaders away or keep the country safe, but it's rubble. It's like picture if a tornado came in and wiped out your neighborhood, and then you pick up a gun and you're defending the rubble of your house. Mm-hmm. That's what it felt like. It's like there's nothing here. It's destroyed. It's gone. It's not, it'll take years, if not decades, to rebuild this to the way it was. So I kind of, just the whole, because it was so dark and depressing, I felt like the other game, whatever one now was, either Modern Warfare or Call of Duty, and it's just, man, I just can't get into this fight. It's just, you're fighting over rubble. And why are these guys coming in? They destroyed everything. It's like, oh man, that guy that has the mansion? Yeah, I'm gonna go take that over, and you burn it down. You burn down the mansion, then you go take it over. That's great. I'm sitting on a pile of cinder.
We got the mansion. High fives all around. Yeah. Okay.
That's what it felt like. It's like, if you're gonna take over the United States, that's fine. But if you're just gonna destroy it, and it's gonna look like Germany in World War II, what have you actually taken over?
Right.
So that was my first thought about playing the game. It was very dark and depressing, but the missions were pretty good. Although again, it was just the whole underlying theme of what I was fighting for was very. I had a hard time, putting my, my heart and soul into the fight, because there you are, you're running out to fight. Who are you actually protecting? Everything's been destroyed. Or at least that's how it felt. Society's in ruins, and you're out there in tanks trying to blow stuff up. For what?
Right.
For what? And then they're coming at you too. It's like World War III. What was that game that other game, was it called Frontlines? Fuels of War.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that game back in the day, whereas everything had been destroyed and there was no gas and economies were collapsing, but yet you still had enough military to go fight.
Right.
Over nothing. You were fighting over nothing, basically.
Well, there's a part of that I appreciate, that it makes it very true in some ways to wars. I mean, there was a lot of that happened in real wars where you were just fighting over a naked strip of land that meant nothing, but you had to fight. People died over it. A lot of that happened in World War I. A lot of that happened in World War II. And a lot of that happened in Vietnam.
Yeah, it just, like I said, it was just weird to, like I said, there I am, trying to rally the troops and do this mission, and there comes the enemy fighting at us, and there we are in rubbles of, San Diego and other cities fighting off these invaders who have already destroyed everything, and no matter who wins, there's nothing left.
Right.
That's kind of how it was. But the game itself, so that aside, the game was fun. It was smooth. It really was. There was times that you had to call in strikes from above, and that was really fun, as they've done in some of these games in the past. You did get to drive some tanks, do some things. That was kind of fun. A couple of missions you did get on turrets. I love being on turrets. Not enough of them, but that was fun. All in all, aside from being a little short, it was quite fun.
Cool.
The single-player campaign was quite fun. In fact, I will go back and fire it up. I might play some of the missions again. I might even play the whole thing again. You know, it was one of these things that a couple of the missions were lame, like as in every game. But for the most part, they were quite enjoyable, and there wasn't too many frustrating parts. One or two maybe where I didn't jump fast enough, I do this fast enough. But it felt like Modern Warfare, where you were following Soap or whatever the guy's name was. So throughout this entire campaign, you really had someone holding your hand, telling you exactly where to go. There was a couple of points where I got lost because I lost him. It's like, oh shoot, where do I go now? But you didn't get the lone wolf anything. You always had this guy, follow me, come this way, stay low, or come find us. And there was a couple of missions that you had to get really stealthy with, like the typical helicopter gets shot out of the sky, you land on the ground, and all you got is your pistol. A couple of those missions there where you had to go and sneak through waves of enemies to meet up with your buds, and there was some really, really fun missions in this game despite its dark overtone.
Right.
And then I went back in and played the new thing called Squads, which I just kind of touched on, which was basically the combat training, where you could play some of the online modes but cooperatively. So I went in and I just played myself. So I was on a team with 5 bots fighting 6 bots. And some of the maps are pretty cool looking. I played the castle one, and I played the Arctic one, and it's just a team deathmatch, but against a computer. And
that's
you can
nice.
set that's always been fun. I always preferred that. The only thing I'm trying to find out is what we used to do in the past. Let's just say the 3 of us wanted to play. We wanted to play combat training. We would set it up. So I think there's either 12 or 16 people in a room. So we would set it up so the 3 of us were on a team, and then we were fighting, a dozen bots, let's say. Now it's set up that I think it's 6-on-6 no matter what. So if the 3 of us wanted, the reason behind that is because we'd have the 3 of us and we'd have a lot more targets to shoot. Whereas if you put it 6-on-6, well, there's 3 of us and the 3 bots on our team, now there's only 6 guys to shoot. So we would always do that when we played. It'd be the 4 of us playing against 8 or 12, whatever the number was of the enemy. Try to up the odds in their favor a little bit to make it fun. And I haven't figured out how to do that yet. But I just played it like 20 minutes for the show. But yeah, Call of Duty Ghosts, had some fun with it. Had a lot of fun with it. I don't know how much legs it's going to get with the PS4 coming out this weekend, if I get it on time or whatever. But yeah, Call of Duty fun. Ghosts, it got dumped on. Some of the hardcore people didn't like it. But it was really more Modern Warfare than it was Call of Duty. Good times. Good times.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah, I still have to play through that campaign, and I still got to play through Grand Theft Auto. So, that's
Me
one of
too.
the reasons I also wasn't quite. It didn't hit me that PlayStation 4 is coming out. 'Cause it's like, well, I've got these Xbox games to play. It's like I've got plenty of Xbox games to play and PC games. I bought Wolf Among Us on PC. It's like, well, you're going to add another console into this already, crowded space? This is crazy.
I know.
So, well, God, we only have about 12 minutes to talk about anything. Is there anything we want to add, or do we want to just try and cruise over some news?
I do want to say, I beat Arkham Origins.
Yes.
That game is still really awesome.
Really?
Way better than Beyond. Way better than Arkham City. Because you remember, I was not a fan of Arkham City.
No, you weren't.
I don't know what the deal is with me and Batman games. Like, everyone was fawning over Arkham City, and I thought it was kind of dumb. Everyone was kind of pooing on Origins, but I love it. Great story. Way better characters. The gameplay is still just as good as ever, but the multiplayer is actually really awesome. It's like a mix between Gears of War and Assassin's Creed.
Really?
Where, yeah. So you've got like,
Let me think. Gears of War and Assassin's Creed.
yeah.
All
So
right.
this is how it works. You got two teams, two criminal gangs fighting each other, and it's just a third-person shooter. And every time you die, it takes respawns out from like a communal pool. And there are control points. And if you capture a control point, you get more respawns. So as you play, it's typical team deathmatch. Kill the team more than they kill you. If you capture all the control points, you take away all the respawns and you win. At some point, you can play as either the Joker or Bane. And the first player to get there gets to play him. And they're like super powered guys who are really scary, really mix things up, kind of, scary guys. They're gang leaders. While this is going on, this is one game that's all going on. While that's happening, two other players play as Batman and Robin, and they stalk both of the other teams from like above the rafters or below in the vents. Or they can set traps with like explosive gel and use batarangs to knock people out. Every time they knock someone out, it increases their intimidation meter. And if the hero's intimidation meter gets up really high, they win. So it's great because imagine playing Gears of War and then constantly watching your back thinking that you're going to get killed by an assassin. And it's this great balance of, the paranoid feeling of Assassin's Creed. We're like, oh my God, someone's about to kill me every second, with just the fast-paced, I have to kill this guy of Gears of War. And you get these X-ray goggles that you can turn on and off. And of course, you can't hold it on because, meter runs down, so you have to let it recharge. So it's all about this balance of, going forward, watching the enemy, and then quickly look up, down, left, right. Is Batman around? Okay, I'm safe. Take 2 steps. Oh, but you hit like an explosive gel trap that Batman has set. Like the very first time I played, I spawned, I ran forward, up some stairs, down a hall, and then all of a sudden Batman just like flew down from the rafters and strung me up to the ceiling. And it was like, oh, that was kind of scary. Like it's a great mix of genres, and it actually kind of fits with Batman because how do you make a Batman multiplayer game? Well, you kind of have one player be Batman and have him messing with all the other people. And what's cool is that it's Batman and Robin. So there were times when I saw Batman and I was chasing Batman down. I wanted to kill that fucker. So I got him, I was shooting him, and then Robin came out of nowhere and punched me in the back of the head and knocked me out. So I think that was a fantastic multiplayer mode. I was amazed that they were able to make a Batman multiplayer mode and make it as fun as it is.
That's very cool. I'm glad that I don't know if I'd actually play it. Were there a lot of people actually playing it at this point? Because it's been out for a little bit, right?
Yeah. I mean, I played on PC, and there were never like not enough players. Every game is kind of small to begin with. It's only 8 players, so it's 3-on-3 for the gang, and then Batman and Robin. So it's already a small game, kind of intimate, and so you don't need a whole bunch of people,
right?
But it works, and we were never wanting for players.
Yeah, I could see that. But I'm wondering if like any of the other consoles, if the consoles have that issue of people not really playing it, because I guess it all depends on the multiplayer. It seems like games that have really good multiplayers have multiplayers that stick around, because there are still a fuck ton of people playing Mass Effect 3 multiplayer because it's a really good multiplayer. And people just love to play it. And then there's other multiplayers that you can't find. I can't believe that there's still people playing Left 4 Dead. Not Left 4 Dead 2, Left 4 Dead multiplayer.
You know what? I want to put Tomb Raider in and see if anyone is still playing the Tomb Raider multiplayer.
The game that just came out?
I don't even think I played that.
I played for like an hour and then thought,
I played 5 minutes. It's like, that's not what Tomb Raider is.
I wonder if there's if there's a lot of people that are still playing, what was the multiplayer that everybody loved until everybody hated was Uncharted. Their multiplayer.
There's still people playing that for sure.
Yeah, but then again, yeah, that's true.
In fact, if I remember, I think they spun off the multiplayer into its own free-to-play downloadable.
Really? Oh, fucking I love Sony. I love Sony. God, they're so smart. They make great decisions of how to do things right. So, in fact, I want to bring it up during the show. Actually, we'll take the news over to happy endings and talk about the news. But there's a couple things on PlayStation 4 that Sony's is doing right when it comes to their free games. So, well, I hate to cut it off, especially after not doing news, but we're going to have to hit our news over on the other side. By the way, if you want to hear the news will be over at Happy Ending. So let's close this out and we'll give you the details. Hold on a second. I have to make things happen here to make it work.
Just in time. You're starting to cut out really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
You're getting a little
Update Skype
staticky.
again. Update Skype.
Really?
Yeah,
Fucking-
you're bad.
What the hell?
You should update it again.
Apparently. All right, well, let's close this out. You have been listening to GameHounds episode... be a little while. So if you want to see things first, go to Spreaker.com, look up GameHounds on Spreaker, or you can also subscribe to the GameHounds Happy Endings on iTunes. We do have a show there, and it updates there as soon as we do it. It is a live show. If you go live, it's on Wednesdays between noon and whenever Pacific time. That's when you can listen to us live. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email, and our voicemail and text line is
304-300-9889.
All right, gentlemen, we will see you in a few minutes over at Happy Endings, and that's when there'll be our news. So